Good.
Welcome to the Press Box Live. Stan the Fan Charles, along with Luke Jackson, both of us with Pressbox and PressBoxOnline.com. We are brought to you. I forget to mention this, so a lot of times I get so excited about the guests that I forgot. I forget to mention that we're brought to you by the Costas Inn, now with two great locations. Midway through the show, I'll tell you about both of those locations and why they're a little tiny bit different. But right now, our guest, and we make this kind of a yearly tradition now, Liam Bowen, the head baseball coach at UMBC, my alma mater. Uh, I actually went out for the UMBC baseball team about 50 years ago, but I know, God, that got to be like 57 years ago. Lasted one day, Liam, but you've got a lot better players than I offered. I start with um, I start with one question for you. I noticed in reading your bio that 23 and 24 were two really successful seasons. You finished second both years, and you won more games than any team in the America East in those two seasons. What happened in 25?
No, it's a good question. It's a fair question, and we had a lot of success with like a really good nucleus in 23 and 24. And I think, our story is kind of the story of college baseball right now. I saw some place where in the last couple of years, the average age of college baseball players on the field is 2 years older than it was. It had been 20 years old, and now it's 22 years old. And we were on the other side of that. We had graduated a really good group of older players. Um, some guys onto professional baseball, but a lot of guys who had really good careers. And then we got hit in the portal, which happens now. Financially, we can't provide what some other bigger programs can provide. So we lost a couple of older players, which we understand. And I just, it comes back to me leading the thing. I just put us in a position where we had a lot of talent on last year's roster, but it was really young. And I mean, we had to be one of the youngest teams in the country, and we're definitely the youngest team in the conference. And we just had too many guys going through those growing pains that are natural and that are harder than ever at this level because you're going against older guys. So just too out of balance in that way, Stan. And then on top of it, like most teams that don't perform up to their own expectations, just got hurt a lot. Particularly some of our older guys that we were counting on for that stability, they just weren't as available or as healthy as we had hoped. So a combination of those things.
Two-pronged question for you then, along those same lines, is those young players that you had last year, have you been able to retain them? And are they mature now and ready for the rigors of a 50, 52 game season?
Absolutely. That's what's got us optimistic about 26. One of the things, definitely older and healthier. And part of being older is bringing back guys that got a lot of experience. I'll just throw some names at you, like Anthony Mishuli at third base. As a freshman was, I think, third in the conference in on base percentage, which is to me a great achievement against some older arms. Um, Danny Orr had a really good year for us as a freshman, hit over 300, I believe with 7 home runs. All the guy I could keep going on, but Josiah Carpenter over 300 is now an upperclassman. Just a lot of guys and some talent on the mound too that are going to be able to give you value for that experience. Because we like to think we teach the game pretty well at UMBC. I think we have a great coaching staff, but experience has always been the best teacher. So we've been able to add a lot of that through kind of putting those guys out there in 25.
And before Luke jumps in, the second part of that question was at the level that you're competing at UMBC, America East, is the portal and the ability to transfer, is it as big a deal as it is in sort of men's basketball or football?
I would say, yeah, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, you got to remember that at the high end of our sport, it's a pretty decent business. There are
Yeah.
teams in Division I baseball that are drawing 10, 11,000 people a night. They're selling concessions, they're selling parking. Um, as long as with the way the rules are now, with the athletes being able to share in that revenue, any place where a sport is creating revenue, there's going to be people paying for high level players, right? To try and create more of that revenue or to have more success. So that's definitely a part of it in baseball. It's not to the extent of men's basketball or football. I mean, I think those two are far and away, more lucrative,
Yeah.
but definitely the market for good, polished Division I caliber baseball players, it's out there. And for us, it's been a little bit of a process, but we feel like we're in a good place now in terms of finding kind of our place in the ecosystem, where we fit, the kinds of people that we need to bring in, where we can have success recruiting high school players and older players. So um, had to learn that a little bit on the fly with everybody else as everything's been changing. But we feel really good about where we're at after going through it.
Go ahead, Luke.
So I missed about 3 or 4 minutes because my computer crapped out, and now I'm actually on my phone. Did you guys get into how you get ready for a season in this kind of weather yet?
No, we didn't, Luke.
Uh,
Yeah. So Liam, how do you get ready? How do you get a team ready in this kind of weather that we've had since about the new year? Uh, how do you get a baseball team ready in this kind of weather?
Well, we're fortunate in some ways. Number one, we've got players who have approached it with a really strong and like grateful mentality for, yes, you can pick out things that we're limited in because of the weather right now. We can't do some things that schools in other parts of the country can. Or things that we usually can. I mean, this has obviously been, if you're from Maryland and I'm from Maryland, this is like, a record breaking type of cold that we've been having. I would say having guys, approach it the right way is big, but as far as the logistical kind of practical end of it, our biggest asset is a partnership that we have with an organization that I'd like to mention because I think they do awesome work, and it's the Baltimore Urban Baseball Association. It's a nonprofit organization in Pigtown that is oriented towards getting more kids in the city playing baseball and softball. And our guys run clinics over there over the winter, and we just helped them with a clinic here recently in early February, and we've done all sorts of things with them over the years, and we would be doing it because we believe in it, and it's a great way for us to get involved with those kids. But they also have a great indoor facility that we're able to use for our practice during the school day when the elementary and middle school kids are in school. The facility is pretty open, and we're able to go in there and use it, and those guys help us out with it. So that's our kind of ace in the hole right now is knowing those guys and being aligned with those guys. And we're really grateful for it because I think they're an awesome organization.
Is it easier to get pitchers ready in this kind of weather, or is it easier to get hitters ready in this kind of weather?
Um, I would say actually pitching and hitting are sort of the least of our concerns
Okay.
because in a place like we call it BUBBA, Baltimore Urban Baseball Association, the facility that Bubba has, they have tunnels and you can run live at bats over and over again. And like the actual, interaction between the pitcher and the hitter, like that part of our game, we can practice that pretty well. I think it's the things that sort of connect the different plays in baseball or the different moments in the game where the whole team is working together, cut plays, first and third defense, some of the situational defensive things that we need to do. We've been able to get out on some turf fields at times, and we're going to be out on our turf here tomorrow, which is great, and we'll be able to do a lot of defensive work. But things like, a guy hits a ball in a gap, you got to run around first base. He's got to make a decision. We haven't had as many reps of that, as we would like. But I think from a pitching and hitting standpoint, we'll be in good shape.
So a few weeks ago, there was a big hubbub locally about how the lacrosse season starts too early, right? That the weather isn't conducive to bringing out any fans. And then I saw a few days ago Eric Backage, the baseball coach down at
Mhm.
talking about how the college baseball season starts too early and they don't get any big crowds until April, and at that point you only have a few home series left. Do you have any thoughts about that? About when the college baseball season starts, and what alterations could possibly be made on a national level to that?
Yeah, there are different considerations when it comes to cost, like housing players past the end of the spring semester and things of that type. I know Eric in particular, and I met Eric years ago when he was the head coach at Maryland, and know he does a great job, and he's really thoughtful about not just his team, but the game as a whole. And I've seen some of the things that he's put out, so I would probably align myself with him, and knowing that he's done that work, and I think deserves credit for it. I would just say that for m- for me, I think college baseball is a great product, and I think the whether it's UMBC where the games are free and it's more of a community event and something that people in this area can enjoy and bring their family to, or the students here, or whatever the case may be, or it's Clemson baseball where Eric is, and it's genuinely operating more along the lines of like an A ball or double A team, from a business standpoint. In either of those cases, I think we have a great product to sell fans. And I think trying to sell it to them on a day where it's 39 degrees and spit and rain is not a great way of doing business. And I think as college baseball grows and every year we're on TV more, our games are being streamed more, there's more coverage of it, there's more interest in it. As that continues, I think people are going to look harder and harder at the idea that, hey, we got to find a way to make this a good experience for everybody that comes out to the park. So I'd be fine if somebody said, hey, we're going to cut the first 2 weeks off the season and start you March 1. I would be for it. But I just want to put us in a position where more people get a chance to enjoy these guys playing because I think the level of play is really good and the accessibility for fans is really good. And I'd love to see it get a better platform in that way.
Liam, you mentioned that last year you were young. This year you're a little more mature, but do you have a group of young kids coming in too?
We do.
And do
So
any of them have the chance to make any impact?
yeah, I think definitely we've got a couple of young pitchers that have impressed me. I'm thinking of Kalen Hackman and Owen Shapro, a couple of freshmen that have done a really good job. We only have one freshman position player, which is a little bit rare, but it's got Zach Hampton, who has been really good and I think has a bright future. Basically, what we've done, Stan, is you mentioned we had a lot of success in 23 and 24. We want to build on that. And I think we have the past two recruiting classes. Like the people we brought in, I'm completely convinced are the right people. The class that we had who were freshmen last year, so that would be after the 24 season, high school class of 24 was a very high school heavy class. And I think a lot of those guys are really good. I already mentioned some of them. Brady Fox is another who's going to be in our weekend rotation. Zach Robinson came in from junior college that year, but he had 3 years of eligibility, and he's going to be our Saturday guy. Looks great. So I really like those guys. And this year, the class of 25, we went a little bit more balanced. About half transfers and about half high school. And I wouldn't trade away any of these guys, I'm telling you, but like strategically, I probably would have flipped that if I had to do it over again, just to make sure that we were a little bit older for the 25 season. And I probably hung on to the way I learned how to build a roster when I got into coaching 15, 20 years ago. And things have changed, and you just
So
got to stay older.
you basically are doing now what Mike Elias is doing, bringing in a little bit more veteran presence.
Yeah, I just think the teams we go against, it's a lot of 22 and 23-year-olds. And so if you're going to run an 18 or 19-year-old out there, he's got to be ready for that. And so that doesn't mean it's the wrong thing to do. I'm here to develop players. Like that's what I'm passionate about. That's what our coaching staff's passionate about. I think we're always going to have, I know we're always going to have a heavy emphasis on high school recruiting. It's just about making sure those guys are surrounded by enough veterans that they can, grow and perform, the way that you hope. And enough veterans means something different now than it used to.
All right, Luke, before we get to some questions, from you let me do the spot for the Costa Sin. Luke, can I borrow your two thumbs?
Thumbs are up.
All right, four thumbs up. Can't ask Liam to do that because it would be a paid endorsement. The Costa Sin. Luke and I, every time we do the show, we give it a thumbs up when I do the spot. Now with two great locations, the original location, 4100 North Point Boulevard, their phone number, and the reason I give that phone number out, 410 477 1975. That's where you want to call if you're planning a little crab feast with your family and friends or family and friends. Um, Call them, reserve your crabs, make sure they have the size you want, the price point you want, and the availability you need for your party. Make it a big success. The second location has the same great menu that the Costas Inn does, minus the crabs. They don't serve steamed crabs. You can get plenty of crab cakes, great crab soup, and all kinds of great entrees, steaks, salads, soups at the Costas Inn. That's at the Timonium Fairgrounds above the grandstand next to the OTB. Both locations open for lunch and dinner. Tell them Stan the Fan sent you, and you'll get treated real good, whether you say that or not. The Costas Inn, two great locations. Back with our remaining time with Liam Bowen, the head coach of the UMBC Retrievers men's baseball team. And Luke, go ahead.
So I understand, Liam, that you were talking about your roster and all. And I understand that one particularly exciting player is someone named Anthony Mashuli, who
Mhm.
is only 5'8" and 180 pounds, but apparently he can really, really hit. So where'd you find him, and what do you expect out of him this coming year?
Yeah, Anthony's been great. He's as you mentioned, sub 6 feet, so not the tallest, not the conventional size of a third baseman, but definitely not lacking in strength. He's done a great job in the weight room and preparing his body. And he was a really good high school player in South New Jersey for a great program, Bishop Eustace High School, and he played middle infield there and came to actually we invited him to one of our prospect camps because we knew he was a good player and we hadn't had a chance to see him and wanted him to come to camp and get a chance to be on our field and for us to work with him and see him up close. And he was great at camp. He was a guy that we felt like we needed to have, so we offered him. And what he's really done really well for a young player, particularly as I mentioned, against these older and more refined arms, has just had really polished at bats. Like his knowledge of the strike zone and his discipline to his approach is definitely beyond his years. So that allowed him to transition to Division I baseball really well, and we're looking for him to build on that this year for sure.
So we were talking before we went on the air about Luke Johnson, who
Mhm.
is part of the Nationals organization now, went in the 10th round in 2024. Is that something that you can use in recruiting, that not only can you come to UMBC to get an education, play ball, but you can also pursue your pro ball dreams as well?
For sure. I think a guy like Luke shows that when you play the long game and approach your opportunity here the right way. And I think what was so great about Luke was he became a pro not because he was necessarily chasing that. He was always just trying to be valuable to his teammates here. Um, and the success that he had here, he was able to leverage that into an opportunity. And what we always tell guys is if you come to UMBC and you are a dominant player at UMBC, like you're winning games and influencing winning in the America East, which is a really good conference, and you have the physical qualifications to be a pro, then you will get that opportunity. And I've been at UMBC for 15 years, and that's been true up and down our conference. I like to say, Luke, that the last time we won the America East Championship, I was an assistant, I was a pitching coach, and obviously we're dying to go do this again. But to do it, we had to throw out the World Series MVP at home plate, Jeremy Pena, who played for Maine. So that's like the level of guy that's going through the conference, and the scouts are good at finding him. Like Jeremy was a great player here. He's a great person too. I've had a chance to meet him and spend a little bit of time with him. Luke was that way. Luke was two-time pitcher of the year in the conference. I think Major League Scouts are really good at their job, and if you have those physical qualifications and you're having a lot of success, like a place like ours is as good as any, particularly now, like with the data and the things that are out there where the scouts can gather information so much more easily, the video, all that stuff. Like it's not you can't hide anywhere if you're a real player, and that's certainly true with Luke, and we're really proud of him.
I was mentioning to you before, I was just reading last night, prepping for my fantasy baseball draft, and I find Ethan Plecko, I think in the Rangers organization, was at Towson.
Sure.
I think last year or the year before, Ethan Plecko.
Sure. No, there's a ton of great baseball players coming through the area. Whether it's us or Towson or College Park or any of those places, and the level of play that we all have in our conferences is enough to be credible with scouts. I mean, that's clear with the way these guys are drafted when they have a lot of success. But yeah, it's that combination of those physical qualities. You have to be a pitcher, you have to, have major league stuff to be a hitter. The ball has to come off your bat the way it does for in the major leagues. But that combined with success in any of these leagues, I think you put yourself in a great position.
Do you feel like with the analytical tools that are out there that that's almost like a levels the playing field for certain prospects in, say, the America East, that if you're putting up huge exit velocities, so to speak, they're going to find you?
A 100%. 100%. So we're fortunate here, and it's a credit to our alumni who helped us get it. We have a TrackMan unit, which I'm thinking you guys have probably heard of. And that's part of our stadium. And that records all manner of data on pitches and the ball off the bat every single game. And that information is searchable by every major league club, right? Along with our opponents, the way we can search on our opponents, but also the big league scouts are taking a look at that. And part of their job is to sift through these mountains of information and to find the outliers, the people who have the physical capability of playing in the big league. So that exit velocity is part of that. If you're hitting it, 110 plus on a regular basis, that's going to stand out. For pitchers, it's really easy because these units can track the ball from the pitcher's hand to the catcher's mitt, and they can say, look, if this is a slider that's going 86 miles an hour and it's breaking in a certain way, that's comparable to all these pitches that are thrown in the big leagues all the time. And those pitches are having success in the big leagues. So this guy has a slider that can play at that level, things of that type. So yeah, before it was relying on the scouts gathering information with their eyes and maybe a stopwatch and a radar gun. And now, as the information's gotten more sophisticated, it's allowed the really good players to stand out.
You see, the timing of that, when I went to UMBC and tried out for the team, they didn't have TrackMan.
Well,
So when they tried
we
out,
would have kept
when
you
I
for sure.
tried out, they couldn't register my blazing speed on my fastball.
There you go. There you go. I wish you still had eligibility, Stan. I know you got the passion for it. I can tell.
I think I do have eligibility.
How do you think?
I'm a submarine pitcher.
I like that. I like that.
Yep.
We always try and have one of those.
Yep.
What do you think this season has in store for Luke with the Nationals?
I think Luke is always going to give a good account of himself. I learned a long time ago to trust a guy like Luke Johnson to show up prepared to compete in just a really like an outlier type of fashion, like with a really reliable and special competitive spirit. Um, he's a guy who's always been able to pitch. His ability to execute pitches and in particular his changeup's really good. And I know he's been adding to his game over the years. I think anybody that gives him a chance is going to be really, really glad that they did. And as he's able to throw harder, and I know he's been throwing harder this winter, he's been able to kind of turn up the volume on his stuff. And I think that's going to determine his ceiling as far as the big leagues go. But yeah, I learned to bet on that guy a long time ago, Luke.
Liam, I got one more question for you, then I'll let Luke get two more and then we'll let you go. I know we can't help you promote every single game and all that, but could you tell us about how much a game costs to go into, where you can buy the tickets? You buy them online before you go, or can you buy them a day a game?
I got great news. We make them free. It's something that we try and do. In fact, there's an initiative that we're working on this year to maybe pull more little league teams out to the park, maybe get some of the local families in there on a more regular basis. But it's a deal where you can show up, you can sit really close, you can get a hot dog, you can get something to drink, and you can take in some really good baseball players, some guys who are really talented, guys who are still playing because they love it and they love their teammates and they want to do something special with them, and you can have a really good seat. So I think in terms of the balance between the level of play and the accessibility, right? Like the ability to just come in for nothing and sit close. I mean, you really can't beat college baseball.
And your first home game is Tuesday the 24th against Georgetown.
Right now it is, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
weather
see. I
permitting.
got to talk to my buddy Edwin Thompson, who does a great job down there. And if
If
there's a
fields are
chance that we could swap home games because they have a turf field and that sort of thing. But I'm
okay.
sure if you follow us on social media, all that will be announced, and we'll get the word out about any kind of schedule change.
All
And
right,
for
Luke.
any
Go ahead.
Terps fans in the area, Maryland will be at UMBC on April 7th, I believe.
Hmm.
And just one last one for me. What's your relationship like with Matt Swope and you guys sent to play every year?
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for Matt and that whole program. I really appreciate Matt and his just what a competitive guy he is, and to me, he's an honest competitor. And what I mean by that is when you're the University of Maryland, you don't have to give a team like UMBC a home game necessarily. Like there have been instances where Big Ten teams or other Power Four teams they'll play you, but they'll only play you at your place or at their place,
At their
right?
place, yeah.
Like their place, their umps, all that stuff. And Matt's been great from day one, where it's been, hey, we're going to try and go for a home and home every year. The past couple of years, there, we just haven't been able to fit it in. So we went down there last year. They're coming to us this year. I think we're back to home and home in 27 is my recollection. But yeah, Matt and I are close to the same age. We kind of grew up playing with and against some of the same people. Known him for years and just like really respect him as a competitor. And I know his like passion for his alma mater down there is through the roof. And I also think he has a really interesting outlook on developing players. Some of the ways that they do things with trying to identify each player's strengths, I think are really interesting. So yeah, I've got a ton of respect for Matt and look forward to seeing him every year.
All right. How do we check into my eligibility, whether I have any left?
Yeah, I mean, everybody else is getting with the NCAA about an extra year.
Yeah,
It's just
I'm
one
going to
more guy, right?
appeal.
You just
I'm
got
going to
to get in
appeal.
contact with Indianapolis, right? Like
Wasn't there
that's
a guy? Wasn't there a guy last year that was like 80 that played football or something like that?
I guess it's
Luke, you remember that story? Something
I
was like,
remember it. Yes.
yeah,
yeah,
that could be me. I'm going to
we're
wait until I'm 80, though.
there we go. We're living through some interesting times, right? And just trying to get a handle on like who's eligible to play, has been something. And I honestly, I'm a sympathizer with the NCAA, given that I think that there's some hard things, particularly with the pandemic and everything else. And I I'm I'm good with the work that we get to do and the people we get to do it with. I think I'd probably speak for just about everybody when we in college sports we'd like to sort of get to the next thing, like whatever
Yeah.
wherever it's going to settle out. We'd like to kind of get there, and the year to year change has been challenging. And I talked about that with our 25 season. That made it more difficult. There's no question, but yeah, I think if you can get another year out of them, maybe send them a
On-
letter, see what it gets you.
Only if Luke becomes my catcher. Okay.
I have no eligibility left for sure. I'm
Yeah, but you do know the SID there.
that's you know what? That's absolutely true.
All right. Hey, Liam, we appreciate it and we look forward to your season. And we'll try and do this every year right before your season starts. All right.
Yeah, always good being with you guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Liam Bowen, the head baseball coach at UMBC, the Retrievers, my alma mater. For Luke Jackson and Liam Bowen, I'm Stan the Fan Charles, and we thank the Costas Inn for being here with us on all these broadcasts. Talk to you next week. Bye for now.